Napolitano to American travelers. We'll take naked pics of you and touch your junk, and you'll like it. I'm telling you, that's the debate we had on America's Morning News yesterday. Let's pick it back up, sir. I'm telling you, we've got an infuriated American public right before Thanksgiving. What gives?
Well, we do, and what gives is, that we just went through an election where the theme of it was really from the Tea Parties, and it was don't tread on me. And we've moved now from don't tread on me to don't touch my junk, which is rather more personal and rather more direct. The fact is, we're not a bunch of criminals in this country, and we shouldn't be treated as if we are every time we get on an airplane to go see Grandma at home.
Well, we all saw that video of the screaming 3-year-old with this, TSA official trying to pat her down, and the girl was screaming because she had to put her teddy bear through the security. What was the point of patting down a 3-year-old?
Well, Amy, that's an excellent question. And what is the point of patting down stewardesses and pilots? I mean, the fact is those folks have gone through a severe screening with the FBI and through the FAA.
I would hope so.
In the case of 3 years old, it just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, you point out Sully Sullenberger. He was testifying up on the Hill yesterday, and as you point out there, he was saying that the airline pilots, the flight attendants, among the most, at least the pilots, scrutinize professional groups in the country, even more than doctors. All right, I've got to ask you this, and Amy, I know, is going to pipe in. What is the answer then, sir? Is it profiling?
Well, the answer is profiling in part. But profiling doesn't have to be ethnic. If you look at the way the Israelis do it, their profiling is behavioral. They're looking for people who are behaving in an agitated manner. And I tell you, that's how the panty bomber was taken down, and that's how the shoe bomber was taken down. They were acting agitated on the plane and actually lit something up, and then the passengers, took matters into their own hands. So profiling is part of the answer, and arming the pilots is part of the answer, and having a vigilant public is part of the answer. Touching my junk, not really part of the answer.
And just using some common sense. I mean, we were talking about yesterday, I fly a lot between D.C. and Seattle, where I'm from, or New York or Los Angeles, and you'll go through security, maybe like your watch sets something off, you're taking off your shoes, you're taking off your jacket. By the time you're done, you feel like you're practically standing there naked in front of everyone, and then to be having to be patted down where they, put their hands in some pretty personal places underneath your arms, for women, all along their bra and their underwire, all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, do I look like someone who's going to be blowing up a plane? And if I was, I'm practically naked here. Where would I be hiding my bomb? Give me a break.
Amy, you do look like a very dangerous person. The fact is, there's actually been allegations of folks who are, particularly women, who have not only had themselves touched in personal ways, but even twisted in personal ways.
Oh my gosh!
You can fill in the blanks there. Meg McLean, who's a blogger, has reported that this happened to her and that they actually handcuffed her to a chair, and she had done nothing wrong, and there was no reason to do any of this sort of thing.
See, now, Brian,
so this is
ridiculous. I've traveled to Israel, and all they did was check my passport and tell me to have a nice trip.
Brian
That's exactly right.
Brian,
in Israel, what they do is they ask you a couple of benign questions when you begin your trip into the airport. Those questions are really there just to see if you're agitated and behaving as though there's something wrong with you. And then there are several layers of security that you never even see that are there, and they're keeping an eye on you. And then once you're into the inner layer, you're there. You're good to go. And they have already weeded out anyone who would be misbehaving. And they do all of this in the span of about 25 minutes. And they don't invade your personal space. They don't touch you. They don't do anything that's weird or untoward.
All right.
We could do that.
Well, we'll see. If we can do that, then, power to us. But, Brian, I listened to Joe Lieberman yesterday, and he pointed out that if that Christmas Day bomber was successful in blowing up the jet over Detroit, Michigan, as it was approaching the airport, he said then everybody would be screaming for pat down. So,
well, I'm not sure about that, John. You know what they would be screaming about? The fact that his father went and tried to turn him in and say, my son is a radical who has yes, yep. It was an intelligence failure there to begin with.
It wasn't.
I think Amy's exactly right. And the fact is, unless we can get the rest of the world to do all of these crazy pat downs and backscatter imaging and all this stuff, there's no way we're going to be able to stop a guy like the panty bomber. The fact is, he didn't even get on a plane in the United States. He got on a plane in another country, and he should never have been allowed to get on a plane in the first place because he raised every red flag in the book with his own personal story.
All right. right. Bryan Preston, editor-at-large. Go to pajamasmedia.com. You can read that story I referred to with the pretty well to the point headline. Let's call it that. Bryan, by the way, everybody, is a military veteran. He knows of what he speaks. Thanks for being with us. We appreciate it.
Thank you, John and Amy. Good to be here.
Thanks, Bryan.
All right.